Hi, good morning, everyone. Today's interview is with Katy Mackenzie at the Mortgage Group, one of Vancouver's leading mortgage consultants, if not the best I know for certain. I want to take this opportunity of having a chat with Katy and find out what she's done over the past few months, in particular her response to COVID and other situations that she's been through. So let's get started, Katy. Tell me a bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, Joel. It's nice to have an opportunity to talk about, um, I guess, who I am, what I do, and how I help clients. The last few months with COVID and the pandemic, obviously, we've seen a big shift in life in general. But other than seeing clients in person and or signing online, we haven't seen too much of a shift in what we actually do in offering mortgage advice and consultation and shopping for clients' mortgages for them. The core of what we do is still the same.
So tell us more about that. What is it really that you do? Why can't I
Yeah.
just go online, if you like, or pop into a bank for a
Yeah,
mortgage?
I've got a really good blog post about that. It talks about what a mortgage professional does or can do for you versus going into your own bank or credit union versus these online like Mogo mortgage quick calculators and quick approvals. So basically, my easiest way of saying it for somebody that doesn't even have a mortgage, doesn't really understand what that is I'm a personal shopper for your mortgage. So like you'd go into Nordstrom's, you walk in, get a glass of bubbly, sit down, that person sort of interviews you and says, you know, what's most important to you in regards to your experience today? What would you like to get out of today? What are you looking for? They're also well versed, or we are well versed in asking the questions you didn't even know you wanted to be asked. And then we go and shop for you based on what you've told us is most important to you. And by doing this, basically, you save time and money. So
Mhm.
there's no cost to working with a mortgage professional to
Oh, really?
activate this service. Unless you're looking for private financing, again, there's no cost or fee associated with working with a mortgage professional. Which is confusing for some people. But again, that's why I equate it to a personal shopper, say at Nordstrom's, where you go in and you think, well, how is this person getting paid? So you save time and money because we are self-employed. So we work through our brokerage, and I work for TMG, the mortgage group. And we're not an employee of the bank. So because we're not a bank employee, what you're getting is the mortgage at a better price because the bank doesn't have to pay for us to sit in an office, lights on, office space. We work from our own offices. We pay for our own offices. So you get the product at a better price. But what you also get is because of that introductory consultation and questioning of what's most important to you in regards to the mortgage, you're also getting the advice as to whether or not that product is right for you. So if you walked into Royal Bank, I love to hate on Royal, but if you walked into Royal and they said, we have the best product at the best price for you, they can't actually say that because they haven't reviewed what other offers are available in the marketplace. So by working with a mortgage professional, you're actually getting independent and objective advice and ensuring that that product not only meets your short-term goal, that immediate goal, but also fits within a longer-term mortgage plan because the best or lowest interest rate today may not be the least or the least cost product over a long-term plan. It can actually cost you more in the long run if you're not planning for that later term mortgage plan.
Fantastic. So I get that being independent, you can identify my needs properly or prospective clients and shop to the whole market. Um, More importantly, though, what sets Katy apart from all those other independents? What makes you number one here in Vancouver?
Oh, number one. I'm one of these really weird people that loves what I do.
Mhm.
I quit my full-time salaried position at a major bank after 15 and a half years. So salaried, tenured.
Comfortable.
pension, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards, to come and work on the independent mortgage broker side in 2015. So if you want justification for somebody that truly loves their job, it's when you leave something that is that safe, to come and be able to offer a full suite of product offerings to clients. That's one piece that sets me apart. Because I do have that banking background, I can truly say and talk to both sides of broker versus bank, and give a better understanding of a full financial planning piece to the mortgage advice. So a lot of mortgage brokers will only just do the mortgage piece. You can pump out mortgages all day long. What's more important, and I speak to this in my broker video too, is what I call 4 key pillars of, say, your house, right? So you've got your roof. Without 4 key pillars to that home, the roof will fall. So one, of course, is your borrowing plan. So not just the mortgage product, but your overall borrowing plan. Again, immediate need and future needs or goals. One is your banking, one is your investing, and then one is the protection piece. So as a part of my whole mortgage conversation, I also introduce conversations around will and estate planning, powers of attorney, representation agreements, cohabitation or marriage agreements, financial planning introductions to rebuild assets from which you've withdrawn, or build those assets, or complex financial planning needs because of, say, multiple real estate holdings, where you might be introducing the ideas around holding companies or incorporated companies holding real estate. So there's a much bigger financial planning conversation that should be going on around a mortgage piece. Other than a business itself, real estate is likely the largest asset you'll ever purchase. It should not be transactional and not done online with these online companies that'll give you or spit out here's your purchase price in 60 seconds. So I feel that definitely sets me apart.
So what I'm hearing, and please correct me, or give a bit more information. When someone is buying a house, right, you help them buy a home, but you also help them buy a life and a future by putting it all together. So it's not even transactional in purchasing the home. You are looking out for someone's well-being and their future, and so it's a long-term relationship in that sense, even if it may be the transaction.
I mean, for a car, you could go out and spend $50,000, but if you're looking for a 1-bedroom downtown Vancouver, like start at $800,000. Why would you not want a plan around that, protecting it? Like how people think to just go online and get financing is appropriate is beyond me. And usually you end up with those clients down the road because something goes awry, something goes wrong, there's a life change, and all of a sudden they're faced with huge penalties, huge costs, huge fees, and then they realize the value that they've missed out on.
Sure, that's awesome. So who do you really serve? Who is your target audience? Who's your ideal customer?
Well, my niche seems to be growing families that are between the ages of, say, 35 and 45, usually buying a second home.
Missed out.
It just seems to be my biggest niche when I do my client book. Like, you look at your book of business and the analysis over it, the biggest chunk is that growing family niche where they're upgrading into a bigger home. So that's my biggest niche, but I don't have a niche that I prefer to work with. So I work with first-time home buyers. I work with people who are looking to do reverse mortgages, in a later stage of life where they no longer qualify for a mortgage and they're on a fixed income, but they've got, west side of Vancouver, $3 to $4 million of equity in a home. So we work with those clients. And also that transition where there is like living will or gifted funds that are coming, not as a part of an estate, but, hundreds of thousands of dollars being transferred while people are still alive. for the purchase of real estate, because it is so expensive in the Lower Mainland. So we're seeing that gifting occurring a lot more.
So with that in mind, I guess now is always the right time to talk to a mortgage broker, even if they're not in the process of purchasing a property.
Yes. Some brokers won't phone you back unless you're ready to buy and you've got all your documents ready to go. I don't think that's fair, because if you truly want to build a plan for a client and work with them long term, you need to speak to them, especially the first time home buyers, 2 years at minimum. I would say even 3 before maybe they're ready to buy, because if there's credit that needs to be repaired or down payment to be saved for, or a growing number of people are self-employed, you'll need a full 2 years of tax returns. And we all know first year in business, it's heavy on the cash outflow and not so much on the cash inflow. So that first year could be a wash. So it could take you 3 to 4 calendar years to start to see, a business stream of income coming in to give you the best possible opportunity. So if we can sit with somebody, build a savings plan, build a credit plan, look at what the numbers look like today of where they're going to have to be, then they're in the best possible situation for when they really are ready.
Yeah, so information
And
is
it
power.
also, it starts conversations with family too about possible monies being transferred over prior to being part of an estate if they're available. Just what price points are available based on their current income.
Cool. So that leads quite nicely to a two-part question. It wasn't meant to be. And it's the impact of COVID and COVID-19. It's impacted everybody and in every business sphere. First off, how has it impacted your business? But secondly, bearing in mind that getting a mortgage does require a chunk of information that is going to cover COVID. How was that going to impact the market?
Mm-hmm. So we've seen a few changes. Obviously, the first one was the introduction of mortgage payment deferrals for those who had loss of income and or loss of tenant income. So the first few weeks of that being introduced were crazy, because the lenders, you couldn't reach anybody over the phone. And we had no information on it. It was lender specific and lender approval specific. So all we could tell them was, keep trying, you will get through. And eventually they built the platforms to be able to access that. So those are still ongoing. I feel like when that period of time ends, it'll be interesting to see, based on how many people have been able to return to work, and if they have at 100% capacity, what the lenders will be doing. The lenders want to keep your business. So my guess is that they will be looking to, deal with everybody one by one, but that there will be some people in serious difficulty at the end of that 6-month scenario if they haven't returned to work in any way, shape, or form. And if the lenders will extend those payment deferrals is still yet to be seen. So, if they don't, you could see people listing their properties for sale to avail themselves of that monthly payment requirement. We launched with our firm an online portal for uploading all documents. So this is a positive. We had launched it in February, not with COVID in mind, but it's good that we had it.
We're not all witches with crystal balls then.
Yeah, I have one right here. I can show it to you just to prove it. Yeah, so all the lenders changed. Here's my crystal ball. It doesn't show up with
Fantastic.
my background or photography. But the lenders jumped on board with changing their rules as it relates to the documents that they would normally need with a wet signature, so printed and signed. And now we can do all of our documentation online. So that enabled us to do everything obviously via Zoom or phone, and then the clients could sign in their online portal, which is awesome. So that made it easier. And it made it a lot busier when prime lending rates started to nosedive. So obviously the government came in, dropped prime lending rate, fixed rates nosedive. So now you've got a flood of calls about payment deferrals, refinancing, low interest rates. And in the last month, it's been insane with new buyers. So people who are employed and are buying, because I think it's been this delayed spring, people are ready to buy. So it's the busiest month I've ever had.
Oh, wowza.
Yeah, and in talking to some of the other brokers at different brokerages, close friends, they say the same thing. It's like, the weirdest time in our lives, but the best in terms of our business. But that doesn't give us any downtime. So some of the lenders too have changed some of their lending policies as a result. They're asking for more documents to confirm income. Income has to be confirmed within the last 14 days. They are phoning employers directly to confirm you're still working, because, you could talk to them on a Monday, by Friday they've lost their job. Rental income, they're confirming by tenancy agreement, tax returns, and rental deposits. So it's, 14,000 pages of documents to confirm rental income is still being paid, but it's justified.
Is this because, can I just interject, is this because they are having to become stricter on their lending criteria because they know that there is some fragility in the income market, so to speak? Or is it to slow the process so they can spread out the lending across their book?
It's because they've been asked to ensure their lending policies are being adhered to for audit purposes. So a lot of the banks are publicly traded companies, so they have audit and compliance requirements, anti-money laundering policies that have to be adhered to. But mainly it's because the incidents of fraud have increased. So how many spam emails do you get a day that look really legit?
Yeah.
But the cases of mortgage fraud have increased. And when you get, a family person trying to look after their family, sometimes they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep them in their home. Good people just sort of push to the edge. And so by asking for additional documents, it's just the way for the lender to ensure compliance is met. A
perfect storm of everyone wanting security, I guess.
Okay. You do anything to protect your family, but unfortunately, if it crosses those legal boundaries, there's a problem. So,
and we all end up paying when it goes wrong, as we've discovered in the past. Cool. So, interesting question for you. It's been said smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn mistakes of others. So what mistakes have you made along the way, and how can we and other entrepreneurs learn from those and your experience?
Good question. My biggest mistake was listening to the fear rolling inside of my head and not quitting my job earlier. So I stayed at Scotia, although I benefit from staying as well, but I should have quit my job probably 10 years earlier. Wow. I danced around the idea of it. I knew I was bigger than the box they wanted me to stay within. I constantly felt like my ideas were bouncing outside of what we were able to do. And I get it. It's a large corporate organization. But I should have found a way to silence the courage or silence the fear and pump the courage a little bit higher. Hindsight's always 20/20, but I love how I have my business running now, and the full freedom, within the boundaries of our regulated bodies, but the full freedom to run it as I want. It's like, hey, Katy, do you think we should do this? Yeah, I think we should. Let's do it. And so, I think just that fear of, like, I know a lot of people don't like doing video. I've done live television, which people are like, holy hell, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, you do a video, then you do a live video. And I'm like, this is how you sound. This is how you look. When you're dealing with a client, this is what they see. Who cares if you don't like the sound of your voice or how you look? That is how you sound and look. Get over
sure.
it. I know, right? It's like, oh God. But I think just silencing the fear. If this is your passion, this is what you want to do, do not get in your own way, because other things will. Other things, other people who don't want to see you succeed, those close friends, maybe in some outer circles that your success challenges their own issues around them not taking a step forward, or them taking a step forward and not succeeding. I think just face the fear. You're always rewarded in one way, shape, or form.
So I have to ask then, and if it's not too personal and you're comfortable with sharing, which is now's put you on the spot, what was the difference after 15 years that allowed you to embrace your fear and do it?
Oh, well, I got divorced, which in and of itself, it was sort of like, let's take your life, let's blow it up, basically. And so nothing felt sort of solid. So I like the analogy of the home. So basically, take your home, have an earthquake, everything's in pieces on the ground, and you have the choice to put sort of the one piece back together and leave the rest as it is, or you can take all the pieces and build your life exactly as you want it to be. So when nothing's stable, nothing's secure, now's the chance to spice everything up. So I had moved homes, quit my job, and was just like, now's the time. And it was sort of if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. And it was terrifying. It was so terrifying. I was programmed as an employee. It was terrifying. So don't get me wrong. It wasn't easy. I was dealing with panic attacks. So I got divorced, quit my job. My dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer 2 weeks later. So it was a very difficult time to sort of put my head up and say, okay, you've chosen some of these pieces. So this is what we've got. Let's just do it step by step. And that's what I've done since. So.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Congratulations. I would suggest you find a new crystal ball, though. That other one wasn't working.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. It did not predict COVID either. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's only good for photography, not for actually predicting anything.
Lens baby or something, is it?
It's a lens ball.
Lens ball.
Here,
okay.
We'll do some marketing for them. If I don't move, there we go. Lens
Fantastic.
ball.
I've seen them all over the.
Yeah, especially with kids and stuff. They're really fun to play with. You just have to be careful you don't set something on fire with it. Remember as a kid, you used the magnifying glass. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, bad memories.
Right?
So,
frying the ants.
No, please. So on the last couple of things I want to just check with you. Best way people can contact with you. I'm going to put it on the slide at the end of this, but best way of contacting you.
My website has access to everything. So
and what's your website?
MackenzieMortgage.com, which is MackenzieMortgage.com. You can Google search me, Katy Mackenzie or Katy Mackenzie Mortgage. I should come up. And my website has access to my phone number, my email, all my social media platforms, my YouTube, everything. So
fantastic. And last but not least, tell me what's most inspiring to you today.
Oh, the sunshine. Oh, it's just I get outside. There's more rain coming, but I think it's just that taking that time. I think it's sort of been a COVID realization too, is taking that time just to sit outside 15 minutes, no phone, no computer, and just breathe in the sunshine, the fresh air.
Oh, wow. Well, look, I want to say thank you for your time this morning. I know how precious it is for you. I know how busy you really are. And for everybody else who's going to watch this, I'm sure they've gained a lot from hearing you. I for sure have, as I'm particularly new to this market, as you're aware, and really appreciate you sharing your expertise, wisdom, and insights. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thanks, Katy.